All right, we're over here getting ready to do another little upgrade to our Pro XP. You want us to back it in or pull it in forward?
Pull it in forward.
All right.
Which side?
Right there.
Right side?
What?
Just watch it kink in half, dude.
Yeah, right. If it would do that because of not having a cage, then we should probably consider a different machine.
I like it.
So we're here getting a gear reduction done by Scott. So he is the general manager for Motor Armor and also his company over here, Project UTV. So we have been following him for quite a while and been watching how many gear reductions you've been doing on a lot of the Turbo S's and everything. So between Dave, Joe, and I, we instantly reached out to Scott to have him do the gear reduction for our new Pro. So a couple questions I do have for Scott to help explain what we're doing here and why we wanted to go this route. I think there's a lot of benefits to it. So explain to us the difference of having a gear reduction done versus maybe just clutch work, and why one would be better than the other, or are they equally
You hear
the
clutch
same?
work all the
Yeah.
time. I'm putting bigger tires on. Oh, get your clutch work done, right?
Clutch work, clutch work.
And
you know?
it comes down to a couple things. Is there's a common misconception of what gearing actually does. A lot of people think, oh, as soon as I gear it, I can only go 40 miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
That's the number one common thing. Well, won't I lose a lot of top end speed? And the answer is no. I mean, really, the correct answer is how you gear it, right? Absolutely, we can gear it to be that low, but 99% of people don't want that or need that. The second thing is clutch kits are easy. They're in and out. You can install a clutch kit, no joke, 45 minutes. It's great money for the shop. And there are definitely some benefits to it, but the difference is a gear reduction actually takes the stress off the belt and the clutches when you put on bigger tires. A clutch kit does not. A clutch kit only helps transfer power more efficiently from your engine through your clutches and belt out to the trans and to the wheels. And so yes, it is beneficial. But it really depends on what what is your ultimate goal with that machine. 99% of people, when they say clutch kit because they want bigger tires, they really need to say gear reduction.
There you go. So do you think you would want to pair them up? Is there a point in even pairing them up where you do the clutch work and the gear reduction?
Not necessarily, and for, again, 99% of people, I'm going to say that a lot now, gearing and stock clutching is the best. That's because the stock clutching really has a low engagement point, so you're not revving that engine, getting to the RPMs to actually get it going, and it kind of jerks on you and stuff like that. Stock clutching is really the best for crawling, really, in my opinion, the only time clutching is really beneficial is for the dunes. Yeah. When you're trying to get the absolute, most horsepower to the ground, and when you're trying to get the RPMs to stay in the power band.
Okay, but basically the gear reduction will take care of that,
Yeah, I've never had a person come back. I always tell them, let's start with the gear reduction, and if you want to clutch it after, we can absolutely do that. I don't think I've had one person come back wanting the clutching after the gearing, whereas I've had, 30, 40, I can't even tell you how many people that have already done clutch kits, or I did a clutch kit for them because that's what they really wanted, and they ended up coming back because they weren't happy, they wanted something a little bit different.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
How many miles does this have on it?
400 and something, just about.
So pretty new, right?
Yeah.
You've had it for what, a couple months?
Yeah.
At this point? Do you see how there's just like, it's pretty dang dry.
Oh yeah, it is really.
I mean, so what happens is you start getting a little bit of water in there and it just starts seizing up. And as soon as this ring, the snap ring, or not the snap ring, oh my goodness, what do we call this? The
You know what's funny?
C-clip, thank you.
I just had it in my mind and then I lost it when you said you lost it.
So the C-clip, as soon as that starts seizing up and then these start seizing to the through shaft, getting these out is the biggest pain in the world. So no joke, save yourself some time down the road. Like if you're on the trail and you need to change an axle, take these out now. I use grease, I use just heavy duty marine grease. I grease them real nice so that number one, they can come in and out a lot easier. And then number two, they're hopefully never gonna seize. You're never gonna have that problem.
It's a good tip. Good thing to know, they are pretty dry, like my KRX ones, because they were having some issues making sure that they're already, all pushed in. When I pulled them out, they had like tons of grease on them.
And
that was part of their problem.
Yeah, maybe.
No, that's amazing. That's one thing that Can-Am and Polaris don't do well. So I just put about that much on each.
All right, good tip. New Razor owner, pull your axles, put some grease on them, it looks like. Well, I mean, to me, a couple other things that also raise a question. A lot of people talk about it, and we've talked about it in our XP 1000s. It's just all the noise you get from the clutch in a Polaris. Kind of like, do you have an issue with the clutch or what's going on? After talking to you, you've kind of mentioned with the gear reduction itself, does it help those kind of noises and different things? Or what do you see as far as that goes? And what's causing the problem when you hear those kind of noises?
Most of it, a lot of it's abuse, a lot of it's wear. I mean, there's really no right answer for that. The gearing does really three things, like I said. It relieves the clutch and the belt from the added stress of bigger tires, the extreme terrain, whatever you want to call it. When people start hearing noises, that a lot of times that's because it's they have several 3, 4, 5,000 miles on their clutches. They're just wearing out. Clutches, in the secondaries, not on the pros so much, but they're wearable parts, right? You got to replace them every now and then. There's things inside that you've got to replace, and then on top of that, it really comes down to the driver. I mean, I know people that 2 foot, that 2 foot drive, 1 foot on the brake, 1 foot on the. I can't even tell you how many people I've seen with just deep grooves in their primary because they're 2 foot driving, and so it's just so much wear on that one spot when they're starting out.
It seems to carry over on all machines too. The KRX, you see it as well. People completely blame only the weights and the different things, and I think there might be an issue there. But at the end of the day, when everybody's like, "Well, I've got 3,000 miles and no issues," and the other guy's like, "I had issues in 600 miles," well, it might have a lot to do with what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's the whole driving part of it. The other thing that we haven't mentioned yet too, that I talked to you earlier about when we're getting this all set up, was the alignment of the clutches.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
That was a big deal, right?
So there's two different things there's a misconception here. And what I mean by that is that there's a difference between clutch alignment and transmission alignment. So transmission alignment aligns the transmission to the engine, so that when you've got the shaft for the transmission and the shaft for the engine, that we're wanting to make sure that they're spaced correctly, that they're on the right axis, with each other. Because if you think of an X, Y, and Z axis, that they're going to be in the relationship that they should to one another. A lot of times there's little things that, especially on the thousands, the turbos and Pro XPs, not quite as much, but there's little things that can make that alignment, make it not be aligned, right? Even from the factory, we've seen it, that they're not perfect. And so when that happens, belts and clutches wear out faster, and belts, wear out faster, because they're riding too hard on one side, creating excess heat, and heat is what burns the belt, what takes the belt out and the clutches out the fastest.
So let me ask you, if you were not to do a gear reduction or mess with your clutch after you get a new Razor or whatever, would you recommend at least taking it to somebody to get it aligned?
It all depends. I tell people to tell about how the feel of it. You know, when are you just going all the time and you're just you're smelling belt, you're smelling clutches, they're getting hot. You know, a lot of times it can be clutch alignment, which that's the difference, is the alignment from the transmission is transmission to engine, right? Well, clutch alignment is the alignment from the primary to the secondary. The secondary can be spaced in or out, right? And so you want it in proper alignment with one another, or else you get things like, is it hard to shift? You know, that's because your secondary a lot of times is spinning because the belt is grabbing on one side or the other. So that's a roundabout way to answer you, but there's a couple reasons that you could be having issues, and sometimes it's clutch alignment, sometimes it's transmission alignment. The nice thing is, once we align the transmission, and we'll take pictures, we'll show you the cool little, the cool nifty tool that a lot of us use. It gets it dead on, so that we know that if you do have issues after that, we can focus on clutching, and that makes it a lot easier, because it's a lot easier to figure out clutch alignment compared to transmission alignment.
Okay. So I guess the thing is too, is if you go and get your gear reduction, you're going to get that stuff checked out, right? Hopefully if the person's doing it, they're going to be checking that out.
Yeah, here's the problem with a lot of what I see is to be honest, this was me in the beginning. I kind of, there's a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
And so people take these to shops that kind of I've seen it. I've fixed a ton of them that they half-ass it, and so the customer ends up coming to me saying, "Hey, I'm not happy with this. Why am I not happy?" I go in and I say, "Oh, your clutches or your transmission alignment is not even close to being right." So there's things inside like wires and stuff that you can get pinched between the transmission and the inner clutch cover. And if that inner clutch cover is off, it's going to make the transmission off. You know what I mean? So there's lots of things. I would tell you, go to a reputable shop. Go to someone that has been doing this for a while, not just someone that pops up and says, "Oh yeah, I do this." Yeah. So,
I mean, this is some great information, because this is something on Facebook and social media in general that just gets pounded all the time about clutch work and everything. And honestly, a lot of people just skip right past even looking at a gear reduction or even talking about the tranny. So, this information that you're sharing, Scott, is awesome, because this is exactly what people need to listen to when it comes to this setup and trying to figure out what they want out of it. Now, there was a couple different options we could have went with on the gear ratios, and we went with what ratio again?
So we're going to do, and we're from your starting point. That's what people forget, is where's your starting point, where's your ending point. But we're going to go about 12, we're doing the aftermarket gear set. We're doing 16% high, 16% reverse, and about 41% low.
There you go.
So
rock crawling.
Yeah, you should, with 32, 33s, it's the bee's knees.
Yeah.
It's really there's the biggest benefit to having some aftermarket gearing is that it's not OEM, so we can actually go a little bit lower than what Polaris offers in all their machines.
Yeah. Not
a lot of people know about the aftermarket world, and it's it is a little bit more costly because they're American-made gears. They're quite a bit. The quality is definitely much better, but the benefit to having just getting the gearing that you exactly want is there.
Yeah, and we have plans. We've already been talking about different tire sizes and stuff after the gear reduction, so who knows what we might end up doing.
And it will, I said 32, 33, it'll handle 35s.
Yeah.
People run the OEM stuff on 35s all the time.
Yeah.
Royce is running OEM. And he loves it. I hate it. I think I am a fan of gearing way more like this. This is geared basically 60% in low, and I love to just be able to crawl it. But really, anything better than OEM, in my opinion, you're gonna like more.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, Scott, thanks for your time. I know you're gonna jump into our car and get it all done. Just to let you guys know, we pay for everything 100%. That's the beauty about this. We love to support local people and anybody in Utah. with stuff that when they do a good job, we love to support them. And this has been a great deal for us. And we went with the aftermarket kit, the little bit more expensive one. And we can't wait to get the whole project done
You'll
at
love
this
it.
point. So, okay, appreciate your time. Let you get back to work.